So if you're considering a doctoral program, what is your, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? And the second question is, what is the purpose? These are two distinct questions because when you know your why, it motivates you. When you know your purpose, then you're able to to fulfill your calling because a lot of people go into a program that wasn't designed for their taste, their liking. Dr. Facey was in she's in education, so her passion, her purpose would have been along that line. So you have to ask yourself these two questions. Why am I doing this? Not just because I'll call a doctor and I walk in the room and everybody had turn, but what's a real purpose? And what is your why for doing it?
Hi, I'm Henika Watkins, Porter speaker, coach, author of Podcast Power, inviting you to listen to the Entrepreneur Secrets podcast, brought to you by C. Ruth Taylor, best-selling indie author and the Caribbean's most trusted voice on entrepreneurship. Get ready to dominate entrepreneurship.
It's episode 214 of the Entrepreneur Secrets podcast, and I am recording this right on the back of my Triple Treasure celebration for 2026, where I celebrated my birthday, completion of the doctorate, and the launch of this book, From Calling to Completion. And I also mentioned the new book, Entrepreneur Secrets Blueprint. So this show today is mainly going to be focused on a discussion that we had at the event, where we had a doctoral panel in which I sat on that panel as well, and we talked about why the doctorate, or challenges, how we overcame them, lessons and tips. And I believe it's a conversation that is needed, and several books were featured. And so we're continuing with what we did last week, but no, you're actually hearing from them. And I thought this would be good to share on the podcast. And so stay tuned.
Your book is the perfect spark to get the fire going in your personal life, career, business, or ministry. Light that book spark.
The 9th was my birthday, so you're seeing the birthday backdrop and all of that stuff, and I'm in my birthday shindig because I just decided to just use the time to record this episode and then play that discussion from the book launch. So if you're thinking of doctoral studies, this episode is also good to watch. So let me know what's your takeaway from the discussion. What was surprising? Do you think you should pursue doctoral studies? You're going to meet Dr. Clara Ricketts, who she entered Bakke Graduate University at 69. She started her doctorate at 69 and finished it in 2 years. So if you're in your 60s and you think that it is too late, it's possible that it's not too late. If Dr. Ricketts did it, so can you. And Dr. Ricketts talked about how I helped her to become an entrepreneur. Dr. Aidin Brown is a Jamaican author, justice of the peace, speaker, philanthropist, business leader, and coach, deeply committed to practicing and promoting servant leadership. He is the founder and executive chairman of Monhar's Enterprise. Dr. Brown is the president of the DSL Association and holds a doctorate in strategic leadership, coaching, and organizational consulting from Regent University. He equips individuals and organizations with the mindset, skills, and courage needed to lead with purpose, integrity, and compassion. As a speaker, he delivers empowering, thought-provoking messages that resonate with diverse audiences in corporate, educational, nonprofit, faith-based and community settings. Dr. Brown is also a dedicated philanthropist with a strong focus on education, youth empowerment, and community development. Through coaching, consulting, and mentoring, he guides individuals and organizations toward growth that is both successful and meaningful. One of his more recent books is Beneath the Crown: Leadership Rooted in Service, Passion, and Purpose. Through this book, Dr. Brown reminds us that you don't need to wear a crown to lead. You just need the courage to show up with your heart. Let's welcome Dr. Brown to Ruth's Triple Treasure Celebration 2026. Dr. Lisa Facey-Shaw is an experienced writer, educator, and trainer with a demonstrated history of excellence in the higher education industry, operating at the intersection of ICT, information systems, and education. She is an associate professor at the University of Technology, Jamaica, where she has served for over 2 decades. Dr. Facey-Shaw holds a PhD in Technology Enhanced Learning from Open University of the Netherlands. She advocates strongly for the use of technology and gamification to enhance learning. She is passionate about designing and delivering engaging content and promotes the use of teaching cases in classroom delivery. Skilled in research, including work on gamification with digital badges for motivation, distance learning, documentation, and curriculum development, amongst other areas, Dr. Lisa Facey-Shaw is committed to promoting teaching cases and effective online delivery, and she absolutely loves creative writing. One of her books that is essential for aspiring and current doctoral students is Balancing Work, Family, Life, and Studies: 12 Lessons Learned on My PhD Journey. This book helps adult learners to balance studies and multiple commitments. Let's welcome Dr. Lisa Facey-Shaw to Ruth's Triple Treasure Celebration 2026. Dr. Clara M. Ricketts is the founder and CEO of Shore Foundation Educational Center for Children with Learning Disabilities and Behavior Disorders. Recently, she launched the Shore Foundation Educational Consulting Services. She is a special educator and behavior management specialist with over 45 years as an innovator and principal for special schools. Throughout her career, Dr. Ricketts has worked with children with behavior disorders and in the process has developed strategies to cope and bring positive results. Further, she is the adoptive mother of a child with learning disability and attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Her book, Yes They Can: Working with Children with Learning and Behavior Disorders, provides hope for children with learning and behavior disorders. In her passion for special education and behavior management, Dr. Ricketts has shared on many platforms addressing parents, teachers, and church groups in her native country, Jamaica, and further afield, including Buffalo, New York, the Netherlands, and Castries in St. Lucia. She holds a Doctorate of Transformational Leadership from Bakke Graduate University. Let's welcome Dr. Ricketts to Ruth's Triple Treasure Celebration 2026. And now for the Lady of the Hour, Dr. Kamika Ruth Taylor. She's a Jamaican entrepreneurship strategist and transformational leader with a Doctor of Transformational Leadership from Bakke Graduate University. She is the CEO and founder of Extra Mile Innovators Limited, trading as Bamboo Sparks, and the visionary behind the Entrepreneur Secrets Academy, the Caribbean Entrepreneur Summit, and the Entrepreneur Secrets podcast. An Amazon best-selling author of over 40 books, As of January 2026, including fiction and nonfiction, Dr. Taylor empowers aspiring and published authors to turn their knowledge into impactful books, thriving brands, and income-generating businesses aligned with their God-given purpose. Since 2003, she has spoken in more than 14 countries across the Caribbean, Latin America, and Africa. She's on a mission to equip authors globally to become winning entrepreneurs. Her doctoral work culminates in the Authorpreneur Secrets Blueprint, a research-informed framework that guides transformational leaders through a strategic journey to write and profit from their books beyond book sales. This blueprint positions their books as powerful platforms for influence, income, and legacy. Her latest work, which is being launched today, is From Calling to Completion: Leadership and Life Lessons from a 12-Year Doctoral Journey. This book builds resilience and will help you to finish the work God has called you to do despite life's challenges. Let's welcome Dr. Ruth to her own Triple Treasure celebration for 2026. Our interviewer for the panel discussion on doctoral studies was Miss Jodianne Demercado, also the MC for my Triple Treasure celebration. You don't want to miss this interesting conversation if you are already doing a doctorate or thinking of doing one. This conversation with the four doctors, including myself, was very inspiring and insightful.
So, this is a question for everyone. What doctoral degree did you pursue and where?
I'm Clara Ricketts, and the degree that I pursued, Doctor in Transformational Leadership at the Bakke Graduate University.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here. Congratulations again, Dr. Ruth. For me, my degree was in the field of technology enhanced learning, and it was from the Open University of the Netherlands.
I guess they say beauty before the beast, so I'll go no. I earned my doctorate in strategic leadership from Regent University. So DSL for shortening, Doctor of Strategic Leadership. Thank you.
I took a long time to earn my Doctor of Transformational Leadership with a concentration on cultural transformation from Bakke Graduate University in Dallas.
How did you choose your program and what led you to choose that particular program?
Okay. For me, it's a full story, actually. I don't know if I chose that program. I think it's more that the program chose me. I have been working in special education for a very long time, running a school of my own and having great experience in doing that. When the thought of a degree came in, I wasn't even thinking about a doctorate degree at Excel. I was encouraged. And when I spoke about the work that I was doing, someone said to me that they just gave me exactly what the degree should be, the line, Doctor in Transformational Leadership. And because I was been working with this program that I had, that the exactly what my dissertation could or should be. So I actually chose that route following the work that I was already doing.
For me, I was always interested in the intersection between technology and education. And so well, for context, I work at a university. And so I scouted around for different programs that would, be economical, be one that I didn't have to get up and leave my family to go abroad, and could work in an online environment. And so I found some, but they just didn't, they either were very expensive or so on. And then I happened to come upon a post in an online forum where somebody was saying that, I'm interested in these 3 doctoral programs. What do you guys think about it? And because I've been searching for a while, I was like, well, let me go and search myself about what these programs are. And the one that they mentioned, that the Open University of the Netherlands, that's the one I eventually selected. That's it.
Thank you so much. Dr. Brown?
Oh, that's an interesting question because I remember finishing up the master's and I'm like, what I'm gonna do next? And I came across Nazareth Trevecca something university. And their doctoral program was more so educational. And I'm like, I want something more challenging. Don't ask me how I got to Regent, but I ended up at Regent. And when I found out about the program at Regent, for me, I am a hands-on person. I want to get out there. I want to roll up my sleeve and work. And I did my master's at Regent actually, and I was looking for another institution to do the program. But it so happened that the Lord said, you know what, this is where you're going to stay. And that's how I learned of servant leadership. And being a justice of the peace in Jamaica, I was actually doing the service to people because being a JP, you have to be out there with the people and for the people. And through that, I had an organization that was called Brothers United. And we did a tire craft project where we use old car tires and turn them into planter containers into Jonestown. For those who might know Jonestown, Arnegan, Kingston 12 Jungle area, we took young people and we trained them into tire craft and we turned the car tires into planter containers. And for me, doing this program, as the name says, strategic leadership, I learned to be strategic more, and it gives me the ability to do more and to use my not only the theoretical part of it, because what people must understand, um, unlike the traditional PhD programs, the DSL, we do the theory and we apply it into the practical world to make it work for us.
Thank you so very much. And now, Dr. Taylor, please.
Okay, I'm going to try to cut mine short. How did I choose this program? Well, I was looking to migrate and looking for maybe a master's, and then I said, I don't want to do a second master's. And I said, okay, maybe a doctorate will do. But I was looking at other schools. I was looking at Fuller Theological Seminary. I was looking at Trinity. And I realized I needed a GRE, right? Grade record examination. And I started preparing. And I was looking for a scholarship because I was leaving the missions field. So I never have no money. But whatever money I had, I spent over 200,000 at Versan. Tried to prepare. And in the middle of all of that, while I was praying one day, I heard the Lord, telling me to stay in Jamaica. So I was like, whoa, what am I going to do now? And so since I believed that this was the Lord's telling me to stay in Jamaica, I started looking for a program that I could do online and that wouldn't require a GRE. And as I looked, I remember the Caribbean Graduate School of Theology, that they were in partnership with the school called Bakke. And I didn't want to do a DMin. I wanted a degree that would help me to be in the marketplace and not be prejudiced against by having a doctor of ministry, but it would be similar. So I went and I spoke to the dean, Dr. John Keane, who had gone to Bakke, and I wanted to bring about transformation, and he ended up doing the The degree he suggested was the Doctor of Transformational Leadership. At the time, I was looking at entrepreneurial organizational transformation, and I applied, and they accepted me. One of the things is that, and this is crucial for those thinking, especially as Christians or further studies, Dr. Martin Audioed says that your doctorate or the research that you do is usually part of God's call, missional call on your life. And so this degree aligned with what I believe was God's missional call. And that's how I ended up at Bakke Graduate University.
Thank you so very much, everyone. This next question is open to whoever is comfortable sharing, and it is, how did you fund your studies?
Okay, so I'm following the same order. For me, what I did, I had to make some adjustments in my life as far as finances are concerned. So some things I pushed back that I'd been doing at that time, and other things I sort of bargained for delay to release the fund I had um, to carry me through. Of course, I was in regular employment because it is, I did it, it's online as it is, and part-time. I had my full-time job, so I would have been earning a salary to take care of my life. But this extra money that I needed now, I had to make adjustments and bargaining to release that fund, those funds, and then repay at a later date. That's how I did it.
Thank you, Dr. Ricketts.
I say that thanks to student loans, um, from the other side, I was able to do my studies through student loan and grants.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you. Dr. Shaw, Dr. Taylor, anything to add?
Well, what I'll share is that for the program that I did, it operated out of a research institute. And so there was a one-time fee at the start, and that was it.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for that.
Yes, for me, it was a blend, right? So because I stayed in Jamaica, I qualified for a 30% scholarship that the school had. Then I got some unexpected grants that I didn't apply for. So somebody applied on my behalf.
Praise the Lord.
Then I got sponsors. I would get people calling me to say, God says to give you 100,000. Or people from my network who knew I was studying, they would just contact me and give me money. And my work. So as an entrepreneur, what I would earn from like the academy and the other entrepreneurship ventures, sometimes I was paying like $1,000 per month. And then this final stretch, I had like 2,300 outstanding. Again, some people just pop up and pay my school fee without me asking. And then I borrowed some money towards the end, and I sold some books. So that's how I'm at zero. No.
Yay.
If I could just add a little bit of context to what I said earlier. So even though that there was that one-time fee, because it was PhD by publication, it meant that I had to write papers and go present at conferences. So there were still those additional fees that needed to be paid, travel and so on. But in terms of tuition itself, it was just the one time.
Okay. I should add that I too benefited from that 30% discount that Ruth mentioned. Dr. Ruth, making careful that I get the name properly.
Dr. Ricketts, I know you don't mind, Jody, but I think people should know the age that Dr. Ricketts started his doctorate, because some of us feel like, we get to a certain age, we should stop study. Can you talk to us about that, Dr. Ricketts? When did you do
Okay.
your
Okay.
doctorate?
Actually, I went to JTS at the age of 66 to do a bachelor's degree. I already had a master's degree in education, but the Lord prompted me, I'm sure, to do that. And by the time I finished that in 3 years, and that took me to 69. So when I started Bakke immediately after, I was 69, and I'm graduated at 71, 72. I took 2 years to do the degree, and so sometimes. So now after been graduating in that for 10 years, 10 years. Okay, so now I'm in my glorious 80s, and I'm so happy to be an octogenarian. And you shouldn't have asked, because then, I was going to boast about that.
Love that. I love that. Thank you so very much for inspiring us with that, Dr. Ricketts.
Okay, welcome.
This kind of transitions very nicely into our next question, which is for everyone. How long did it take you to complete your doctoral studies? And we're going to start again with Dr. Ricketts, please.
Okay, I took exactly 2 years, and it's not because I was brilliant or anything. It is that the Lord, I just tell myself that is the Holy Spirit who wrote those papers for me. In addition to the fact that I was doing a degree, actually reporting on what I have already done. I lived it before. I did the research in it before. I was simply dressing it now to present it in this way. And that is why it could have taken that short time.
Thank you
But
so
2 years
much.
it was. Yes.
Dr. Facey-Shaw?
Right. So for me, it took a total of about 6 years. When we started the first year, it was just about trying to explore, the areas that we wanted to work on. And after a year when that was finalized, then we started to do the different experiments. And then in 2019, so started in 2013, and then by 2019, I was finished.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw. Dr. Brown?
For me, the interesting part of it was that when you're in a master's in organizational leadership program at Regent, you want to do the DSL program, the Doctor Strategic Leadership program, you can get up to 9 credits, I think, off in going into that program rather. So I think it was maybe about 15, 13, somewhere around about there, 13, yeah. So when I went into I took 2 years from 2 weeks rather, after completing the master's. And I remember started a doctoral degree in January 2022, because I remember when I graduated in 2022 with the master's, the director for the program, she and the director for the master's program, they do the hooding at the graduation. And she said to me, "See you in 2 years, Dr. Brown." And I'm like, and within 2 years, I actually completed my DSL program, and that allowed me to do everything that I was able to do within 2 years.
Thank you so much, Dr. Taylor.
All right. So I was registered in the program for 11 years, but I didn't start my classes until, so I got accepted April 2015. I didn't start my classes until January 2019, and then start and stop in between. So it took me actually 7 actual years from the first course to the last one. But I was registered in the program for 11 years.
Okay, thank you so much. And our next question is open to whoever is willing to jump in here. Why is a doctorate important, and what difference does it make?
Why is it important? Wow. Okay, I'm going to be open and share a little bit about my life privately. I believe I'm single, never been married, and somewhere along the line, these titles seem to mean something. you know. And so the thought of a doctorate, when that thought finally came, I said, oh, wow. So no, they don't have to address me as Miss Ricketts anymore. They'll be Dr. Ricketts. Okay. So I have a new title that can, add some sort of respect to my name after all. You know?
After all. I
So
love that.
that was my honest motive in terms of why it was important to me. But
I love that so much.
okay.
Dr. Facey-Shaw.
Me, as I said before, I work at a university, so it is the natural progression from, having your master's to um, um, move into the PhD level and, being able to, for example, supervise graduate students and so on. So in terms of the importance, it gives you those credentials, it gives you the credibility, you go in depth in your research areas and you teach and you research. And so in terms of the importance, for me, it was only natural.
Thank you so much. Dr. Brown?
I wanted to share this joke earlier as Dr. Ruth mentioned about her journey, her 12-year journey. I remember when I started my master's program at Regent, the first class I did, and I said, no, this is not for me. This is too much work. I can't do this. No, not me. Nope, nope, nope. And they want you to put in the in-text citations and the references and this and that. I'm like, no, this is too much. So I did the first class. I never finished. I never went on to the other classes, and it came back to me and said, you know what, go finish the program. I went back and started the program, and I had that same class again. And I remember I did the same assignment, not remembering anything. And when I did the assignment, it so happened that some notes was on my computer, and I just reworded the notes and structured it in a way to make it look good. And the professor emailed me and said, we need to talk. So I said, sure. Come to find out, he said, your last assignment, it was flagged for plagiarism. I said, how is that possible? And he started laughing and he's like, yeah, I asked myself the same question too. But guess whose work you're plagiarizing? And I'm like, I don't know. So he said, your own work. Did you do this class before? I'm like, maybe I have. So he was like, because it's your own work, you just needed to have cited yourself. And I'm like, I didn't know this would have been still in the system. But um, that led me to Ruth's story, led me to share that. So I started and then stopped and I no. But then when I went into the doctoral program, my first week, my first class was leaders and followers. And we had to write 45,000 word paper. I drank 3 cups of Bustelo coffee over one weekend that I cried. And one of my friends was like, no, you want one, doctor? So with that, I say if anybody past the residency is able to complete the program and go through such a program, because the program allows us to do stuff, to be creative, innovative, and strategic. So for me, I was actually doing the work, and being in America as a Black man, you don't get that respect as you ought to. And I was sharing with someone at the job, and I said to her, the only way they will respect me is unless I have a doctorate a DR in front of my name, because the culture there is that Black men is of nothing, of no value, of no use. So my determination was to go on to get my doctorate. And the thing about it also is when you look at the general society, and it is such a shame. And I'll share another story. I know I'm taking long, but I'll share another story with you. Years ago, my sister came to Jamaica and we booked a hotel. And when she called the hotel, I booked the hotel. So when she called the hotel and they told her there was no reservation, so I called by the hotel and I'm like, this is Dr. I never had a doctorate degree. This is Dr. Brown. And I booked, and she was like, oh, yes, we have your reservation. That goes to show that when you have the doctor in front or behind your name, it gives you that clout. Oh, Dr. Brown, this is you. Yes, this is me. That is what the world yearns for. And if we have to respect each other that way, then for those who are ambitious enough, go for it, go get it. Because when you have that, you walk into a room and you're an expert, you are the person who they're going to be looking to. So I'm sorry to take up so much of your time.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. That was a very comprehensive response, though, and it really clarified the matter. Our next question: identify two major challenges you encountered and how you overcame them. Dr. Ricketts?
Two major challenges. Well, one of that would have to do with balancing my work because, as I'm saying, I was doing this full-fledged degree while doing a full-time job and not just a job, I mean, running a school at the top of the line. And that's a whole lot of work. And I'm doing a degree with a whole lot of work, at the same time. So, how did I manage to overcome that? Well, I think what I did, I used the nights to patch the day. And so for, a lot of times, trying to make sure that I got through, 2 a.m. was a regular sleeping time for me, to go to bed. And then, you know, after after that, my other strategy was to make sure in the midst of all of that, that in terms of keeping deadlines, I set deadlines for myself a week ahead of the deadline that was set so that I would not be working under the pressure of having to make sure that I set deadlines for myself ahead of what and work towards that. And so that helped. In addition to that, I do believe that the Spirit of the Lord helped me. I tell persons a lot. I said, I didn't write those papers. There's no way that I could have written those papers, and write them with such speed and efficiency, But when I sit down to write, I mean, it just flows. What I would normally have taken, I mean, a day to figure out. I found I could sit there, my special quiet times, and it just flows. So 2 hours work become two day, well, hours work become like half an hour, that sort of thing. So I got help. I got spiritual help, I must admit, in addition to organizing my time strategically. That's why I overcame that.
Thank you
That's
so
one
much.
challenge. But
No,
that's
that's
two together. That's a whole lot. That's two together.
okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Dr. Shaw?
So I'll just pick up right where Dr. gets left off in that the challenge of having to balance all the responsibilities, full-time job, full-time parent, full-time wife. I mean, when I started, my daughter was a year old
Oh,
when I
wow.
started my PhD. I also had a son who was, well, over time, we were preparing for GSAT.
Mm.
And remember, I said that my PhD was by publication. So it's writing papers, it's trying to find many articles out there just so that you can concise all of that into a paragraph or two. And, it continued like that. So having to do that sort of balance and um, therefore finding the right time. So whether it's late nights after you've done helping with homework and preparing dinner and all of that, um, late nights or early mornings. Um, and, with that, the support, from my husband and family, that was very, very important. The other challenge that I encountered was once there were two instances when I got um, papers rejected. The first instance, I kind of understood. I was trying to concise, I think it was maybe a 20-something page paper into just 8 pages. And I think at the end of it, it just sort of felt empty. So when I got that rejection, it wasn't too emotional for me. Let's put it that way. The second time that I submitted a manuscript and it got rejected,
Disrespect.
that was crushing.
Mm.
That was very crushing because I felt like I really put a lot in it. And, these things take time from the submission to you receiving the notification that, take some time. So when you get a rejection after so long, um, in that moment, I felt like I couldn't write. Um, it's just despair. And I really had to reach out to family, my husband, friends. I had to reach out. I mean, I read that email. I didn't read it completely that day when I saw the rejection. I didn't read the rest of it. It was just leaving it, feeling despair, and eventually, getting the motivation and the support and the advice and so on. And then, tears. But then afterwards, I sat down and looked at it. I said, okay, this is what they're saying. This is the feedback that they're given. Let's take the advice. Let's improve on the manuscript. And then let's, submit again. And, it was eventually accepted. So there will be times, for those persons, going through, there will be times of despair and, just down times, whatever that down time looks like. And for me, the motivation that I started out with, wanting to complete, and the support and advice from friends that helped me to get through it.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Shaw. Dr. Brown?
Thank you. I remember as Dr. Facey-Shaw spoke just now, and that is why the Association of BSL Professionals was established, because doing a doctoral program, it's a lonely journey. It is a lonely one. And we need the support system, and we need the strength to give us the oomph to go on, to carry on. Because that first class, when I had to do the leaders and followers paper, I'm like, I've never written so much words in my life yet. So how am I going to do this? I need 3 cups up for those who know Bustelo coffee. And that remind me, I never brought any with me, but that's a very strong coffee. And it tastes very awful black. Straight black is very awful, but it's very strong. It keeps you up for hours. Well, that's for me. And I remember writing, and I take a break and I go back and I write again, and I drink coffee and I write and I go back and take a break during the writing. And when I finish that paper, I press submit and I say, in Jesus' name. And every paper I'm submitting, every assignment, I say, in Jesus' name, in Jesus' name, in
Amen.
Jesus' name. And the feedback that I got from that professor was, you need to learn to write a PA paper. And throughout the program, because as I say, for a DSL, you have to, it's a self-taught. Doing the doctoral program, PhD, detail, DMin, it's a self-taught program. You have to know it yourself and figure it out. Figure it out. And from then, I just started to do my own research. And as Dr. Facey-Shaw mentioned, go find articles all over the world and to just put the pieces together to make it work. Because in our classes, we had to do discussion posts and put references and in-text citation. I'm like, well, Lord, I don't used to this kind of work. So I learned from that. And then my second challenge was when we got another class that the teacher tell us that paper must be submitted in Turabian style writing. I'm like, what is this Turabian style? So as you do the doctoral program, you learn stuff. It opens your intellectual capacity to expand and know more. So I'm like, what is Turabian? Well, they call it Chicago style writing. And I'm like, And I learned how to do it from then. And I remember one of the classes we had a very strict professor. Him just talk. Nobody talk. Him don't engage in no dialogue. Him just talk. And he gave us an assignment, Dr. Osula, very smart, brilliant professor. And one colleague reached out to the group email and was like, oh, he never even showed us what to do. And I said, my friend, at our level in education, we have to figure it out and show them that we know what we're doing. And she was like, you know what? You're right. And she was able to pass the class. So For me, it's about learning new things, learning, researching. And when you come up on a challenge or an obstacle, don't look at it as something that you can't. Oh no, me can't do this, me can't bother. But how can you prove to them? Because remember, you're going to earn this title. That is why I have a problem with people calling them the honorary doctors, doctor calling themselves doctors, because they don't know the hard work with me and Dr. Facey and my other colleague, doctor over here, go through, and our doctors go through, because we have to go through the hills and the mountains and the valley. 2 o'clock, say, doctor, I keep
Dr.
forgetting your name.
Ricketts.
You said 2 o'clock in the morning. I remember for me, I up to now my alarm still saying 10, 13 p.m. You need to go to your bed. Because we need rest. We have to take care of ourselves. And well, that's what I tell myself when I was doing it. So those are the things that I came across, and that's how I was able to move on.
All right, I'm going to try to keep mine short. The first challenge was financial, because I am running a business. I'm an entrepreneur. And it was a startup. So trying to put food on the table for myself and then to go pay this thing. So there are times you could not do a course unless your balance was under 2,000 US dollars. And it's 525 US dollar per credit. And courses are like 4 credits or 8 credits. So I have a young business. And when you're in the creative industry, you're the starving artist, right? So I am young in this business with the odds already stacked against me. And I have to pay money in US dollars, and I live in Jamaica. So there were certain times that I could not go forward, and I had to send different payment plans. Sometimes I kept it, sometimes I didn't, because I could pay as the money came in. So how that was overcome, the surprises of God, when somebody will call and say, the Lord said to give you 100,000, or I see grants coming in that I never applied for. That was that. The other part, 50% of doctoral students don't finish, because as Dr. Aidin said, it's a lonely journey, but our school put in a mechanism, having support on the journey. And I see one of my supporters here, 3 of them are here, Personal Learning Committee, Patrick Thompson, big up yourself. In the masters, Dr. Ricketts, I'm looking at the other names, Dr. Zoe Simpson, at least 3 of them are here. I'm giving you the solution, then the challenge. When the journey got tough for me, right? It was especially tough for me when we got to the dissertation proposal research phase. So they had a course called Dissertation Proposal Design. That is where you put forth what you're going to do, and you're introduced to research, and you do the first 3 chapters. I submitted that paper and I got 99%. And I'm like, cool. By the time I get my supervisor and second reader, I can start the research in no time. Well, by the time my supervisor got my paper, she said, no, this ain't going to work in the real world. And that was devastating. So I had to change trajectory, and I had to do over the paper 2 times. It resulted in the first paper being examined to see if I really got the 99%, and the grade was upheld. But in hindsight, this was the Lord's doing to redirect me. That took 9 months to move past. And I only was able to move past it with the help of my PLC, my personal learning committee, and one of the members, Dr. Damian Black. I give God thanks. I mean, every now and then, all the members of the committee would encourage me, but in that moment when I was about to quit, Dr. Damian Black said when he was younger, at as a teenager, there's a phrase he learned, Latin phrase, lucta et emergo, struggle and emerge. That's how you become the beautiful diamond that you are. He says, you're not the quitting kind. And he gave me some advice and some guidance. And I followed it to the T. And with prayer, there was a Thursday night prayer meeting, and them did pray for me. And I felt like something broke. And that was how, and I said to God, all right, if I have to do this thing over 1,000 times, like the man creating the light bulb, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to humble myself. And after surrendering my timelines, because I didn't graduate when I wanted to, things just started moving quickly. I got insight. I was able to suggest the way forward. And yeah, so that's the solution. Having support. Don't do this journey alone. Don't do it alone. It's gonna get rough. Even if your school doesn't build in that support, get some support. Don't do it alone. And you may find that you have to do papers over and over. And no matter how careful I was, each time this thing come back, there's something that I didn't see and I have to do over. It was extremely frustrating. And so what I started doing is to Google and YouTube, what are the challenges in doctorate? And then what I found was that what I was going through was nothing extraordinary. It was normal. And I found Dr. Aidin and his group, and they had a discussion like this and other things. And my PLC members were said, oh, I saw research go, man. Don't worry. You're going to get past it. You're bright. It will be all right. And that's how I got through the program.
Thank you so very much, everyone. The next question is, what techniques or tips can you share with us to successfully complete a doctorate? Some of them have been covered here, but I would just appreciate your insight on that, starting with Dr. Rick.
Okay, well, I would factor in on the spiritual support. Philippians 4 verse 13 is one of my cornerstones, and I pass it on. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I use it for myself in terms of the courage and confidence. And those to whom I relate, I do the same likewise, especially in the matter of mentoring and all of that. Believe in yourself that you can do it. And you're not doing it on your own. You're doing it on the strength of the Lord. That is my biggest recommendation.
Right. So apart from those already mentioned about, finding your support group, two other things I'd say is that you should set mini goals. And this is something coming out of, the book that was introduced earlier. Set mini goals and celebrate the mini accomplishments. You finish a course, celebrate. You submit a paper, celebrate. You get acceptance on a paper, celebrate, because the journey is so challenging at times, and this is not a 3-month program. This is sometimes years and years, right? And for you to remain committed throughout, you will find that there are going to be times of challenges, and they'll come in different ways. And so when you succeed at something, celebrate that. As I mentioned, you tap into your support group, whoever that you include in that group, family, friends, advisors, your supervisors are usually helpful as well. Mine were. And sometimes you just need to pace yourself. Evaluate when necessary. Dr. Ruth just mentioned it, that, you sometimes have to step back, especially when you're going through challenges. And to give ourselves the grace to know that things aren't always going to be perfect, and you may need to rest a little while if necessary, but to continue along the journey. So those are some of the techniques I'd say, for you to stick to it.
I concur with Dr. Ricketts and Dr. Facey-Shaw. I recently saw a TikTok video that says, when you get your degree is not for you, but it's to solve a problem. And I remember our projects that we had to do a Regent. One of them was to find a problem in an organization and come up with a solution. And I've been asked this question, and I see a lot of people struggling with it, especially today, for those who are rushing to get a doctorate. But recently I was on a podcast, and I asked this question, these two questions. What is your why? So if you're considering a doctoral program, what is your why? Why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? And the second question is, what is the purpose? These are two distinct questions, because when you know your why, it motivates you. When you know your purpose, then you're able to fulfill your calling, because a lot of people go into a program that wasn't designed for their taste, their liking. Dr. Facey was in she's in education, so her passion, her purpose would have been along that line. So you have to ask yourself these two questions: why am I doing this? Not just because I'll call a doctor and I walk in the room and everybody head turn, but what's a real purpose, and what is your why for doing it?
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown. Dr. Ruth?
I'm adding nothing else. Please read my book. I share that in there, From Calling to Completion. And Dr. Lisa's book has several reasons outlined, from the preface to the first couple of chapters. And these are mini books. So we want to encourage you to get them. Mine is 63 pages. I think hers is 59. So go get the books.
Okay, just have a couple more questions and then we'll move into the next section. We're speeding up a little bit, so I'm gonna ask us all to just, I know you all have such a wealth of information, but we're gonna try and just summarize. After all of this writing, I know you know how to do that. So what encouragement or advice would you give for those thinking of doing doctoral studies? And I'm gonna bind it with the next question. What is the major lesson learned on the journey? So Dr. Ricketts, we're going to start with you, please.
My encouragement to others, and it has been spoken before, the matter of purpose. Exactly what is my purpose in life? And does doing a doctorate help to satisfy that purpose? Personally, I wanted to leave something behind, right? And my initial purpose when I did get around to it was that I want to write a book. And what I had in my mind somehow, that's what doctors do. It's when you become doctor that you write books. And I wanted to leave a book behind me. So that was my key purpose, to share my life, to share something with others after I have left here. And so I would encourage persons along that line. Exactly, why are you here? What value are you to society? Is there something I can do, that would leave something worthwhile for those coming behind me? And so I believe that's a place to start. And I have found it that I got my dream satisfied because I got the doctorate and I wrote a book. So okay, that's my encouragement.
Thank you so much. What a powerful legacy. Dr. Facey-Shaw?
All right. Besides everything as that was mentioned, that Dr. Brown mentioned about knowing, understanding the why and knowing your motivation, but I'd also adapt that to say is take the journey for you. There'll be different voices along the way, different pieces of advice, but take the journey for you, own that journey. And in terms of the major lesson, it's about finding the time or being intentional with finding the time to do the things that you have to do. you have to balance the responsibilities if you really want to complete. So many commitments some of us have. And so it means that the time is precious and you need to find that time. If it's even 3 o'clock in the morning or, late night, whatever it is, find that time to balance. And there are different ways in which you can structure your time accordingly so that you can balance.
Thank you so very much. Dr.
Brown? Ditto to everybody else. So I am not going to say anything.
I'll make it short and spicy. One, the legacy. Ask yourself what legacy you want to leave behind. And yes, as Dr. Ricketts say, and I'm sure Dr. Facey and Dr. Taylor would agree. Yeah, write a book because I've gone 3 books and the 4th one I co-author. So yes, what legacy you want to leave behind? Because remember, that doctor so-and-so will live on for many more years to come. After you've long gone, it will live on. So what legacy do you want to leave behind?
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown. And our final question for this evening's discussion is, how did your life change post-doctorate? Dr. Ricketts?
Wow.
Dr. Brown, that expression.
Wow. Well, my life has changed tremendously because you must remember I'm saying that I got that doctorate at the age of 71. And for a lot of persons, I mean, that is when you're wrapping up life. But to a large extent, I was moving off in a new direction. So having done the book, and somewhere along the line, I was talking to Ruth sometime, and she said something about writing a course from a book that somebody had done. I said, what? That is possible. That is possible. And so I jumped on the bandwagon, and Ruth was right there to hold my hand, and say, yes, it can be done. And boy, the book had already been published. I know the thought that from the book, I can now go into another direction. So, I mean, she helped me. I mean, she was my coach, and publisher and everything that it takes to put that course together. So I started a course. I'm sure the name of the book is Yes They Can, Yes They Can Academy. And that was to be using the book as the text to run that course for how many persons, one after the other, and they have, and the testimonies on the whole matter of my line of work, special education. Wow, that's an exciting journey. It's a new life, something fresh. And as I got ready to leave the mainstream in education, because I was still running the school up to my 80th birthday. I just closed it recently. And in preparing to close the school, then what am I going to do? I mean, sitting at home doing what? When I'm still strong and healthy and God is blessing me, you know? And so the thought came to go the next step further. And when I mentioned it again, I can't manage this girl. She was on the go by the time I mentioned it. I mean, she had a solution, what I could do. And so I started this course now for parents, okay? Parent support. I work with the parents in group, and at the same time, I mean, helping them, supporting them to be good parents to their child with special needs. And very complex, very complex situation. I'm excited, And so right now, I mean, I launched this program in January, and in the midst of it now, and I am just as busy as I was when I was in my full-time employment working online. So I'm into full retirement, but I am active, and not just active doing something that I enjoy. There's purpose. It has given me purpose. And all of that came out of the degree in the first place, which first brought the book, and from the book, and now I'm an entrepreneur, a disciple of Dr. Kamika Ruth Taylor.
Oh,
Amen.
amen, amen. Thank you so much, Dr. Ricketts. How profound. Dr. Facey-Shaw?
For me, because the content area of my dissertation was around digital badges, and that's something topical now in terms of various universities and the regions are sort of moving in that area. So I find that I'm invited to some spaces where that discussion is being held and where their task forces being put together to work on, some of those things. Since the doctorate also, I published that book with Bamboo Sparks about just, the lessons learned along the journey, because there are so many, I mean, even this discussion here is showing that there are so many persons who need the support. And, that was supposed to be an encouragement to others who were struggling with commitments and who just needed that sort of support. Which even led to another book and, the association with Dr. Ruth and Bamboo Sparks. So there are different things happening in different spaces, and I'm enjoying it.
That is an amazing, amazing progression, and I love that. Dr. Brown?
All right. So for me, I've become more of a writer. I've started writing for Christian Coaching Magazine. And as I said, I have 3 books out, and I'm a contributing author to one. So for me, every quarter, the Christian Coaching Magazine publishes their newsletter, and I try to make sure I find time because I have to be at peace when I'm writing for the paper. So for me, I become more of a writer and a strategist where I find problem areas and try to fix them.
Okay. That is quite the legacy. And I really appreciate that all 3 of you have spoken directly to what From Calling to Completion speaks to as well, creating a legacy and building on the foundation that you have in that doctoral study. And Dr. Ruth?
May I just add one before Ruth tell us that she's not sending it till limited piece of her time? Right. Just to inform me that yes, I've written a second book. I mean, since then, published just last year, and so that says I testify, and some of what I'm speaking here are written into that book and much more. And
All right.
I'll be writing
Yeah.
again. As long as I have health and strength, I'll be writing again.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Thank you. Dr. Ricketts is my inspiration, but I want to put a different slant on this since me just got the doctorate last month. Not last month, March. March 11. So it's more for me what the doctorate did on the journey. So many times we think, I can't say how has my life changed since because it's new. But maybe because I was on the journey so long, but the entire journey itself was transformational. So that even if I didn't get the title, I got my money's worth and I was transformed in the process.
That is incredibly profound. Thank you so very much for that. On that note, thank you so very much, Dr. Ricketts, Dr. Facey-Shaw, Dr. Brown, and our own Dr. Taylor for sharing your insights and your wisdom and new perspectives on what this doctoral journey can be for us. I thank you so very much for being willing to be so open about your experiences and the difficulties and the joys and the highs and the lows and everything. Thank you so very much for that.
We are going to be taking our annual podcast break. Now, I started taking breaks when I was working on the doctorate to give myself time to work on different aspects of it, but I think I'm going to stick with that schedule for a while. So we're going to run the show from October to May, and then we take a break. And during the break, I'll be going to graduation. Graduation is the 6th of June. So there's a pre-order that is out for Entrepreneur Secrets Blueprint, a proven research model to turn your book into a profitable business. And this is a conversion of my dissertation to a book, and it's about how to implement my Axe Entrepreneur models for authors to prosper. And so the ebook will be on Amazon, but I am going to explore selling the hardcover direct, perhaps through Book Vault and my website. I'll figure out how to do that. I want this book for special training that will come forth to help authors, aspiring authors, to become entrepreneurs and employ the Axe Blueprint, the Axe model there at work. So I want to encourage you to go to entrepreneursecrets.com/blueprint to download the Entrepreneur Secrets Blueprint. I've updated it, and you can get that to be exposed to the Axe model as something you may want to try if you're seeking to earn more from your books beyond book sales. That's it for today's show. Remember, of making many books, there is no end. Go pen it to win it and dominate entrepreneurship. Ta for now, until next time.